education standard is so low, so poor, that most people who graduate from these government schools are not very fit to be in a competitive world out there. Shame on these Tatas, Murthis and Ambanis and all these other people for making billions and billions and billions and showing off that we are the fifth richest or 10th richest or 20th richest or whatever ranking, showing off their wealth and not investing in fundamental R&D in technology to make platforms. Yeah. So we are becoming a user of American and Chinese technology. We are not a technology producer, we're a consumer. It's stupid to say that you cannot make good scientists and good doctors and all that unless you teach them in English. It's such a colonial mindset.
Today on the podcast, we have Rajiv Malhotra, a pioneering author and thinker who spent the last 30 years challenging dominant narratives about India, the West, and emerging technologies. From breaking down civilizational clashes to warning about the risks of AI colonization, Rajivji brings deep research, strong opinions, and unmatched clarity. He is also the founder of Infinity Foundation, an organization dedicated to reviving India's civilizational strength through cutting-edge research and unapologetic narratives.
Sir, I have one question regarding the current affairs. There are war clouds looming over us in India and between India and Pakistan. बहुत दिनों से हर एक दो साल में वो कुछ टेररिस्ट अटैक करते हैं. Recently जो करे सो attack, they segregated people on religion and they executed them. So
Pahalgam, yes.
What should India do to solve this problem once for all?
So problem जो है इसको टिट फॉर टैट जाके उनको अटैक करना, it will be an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
It will not solve the problem.
Yes.
Because you hit them a little bit, after a while they'll do it again.
Yeah.
Which is India's problem.
Yes.
You have to do something structural. Mm-hmm. So one structural thing could be India should now declare Balochistan independent and say that this is an independent nation, we are going to support them and take the case to United Nations, get a few other countries, Nepal, Bhutan to agree, and then get US to say, okay, you also agree, but US may not agree right away, but they may agree slowly. To do this, India already has Israel on our side, but India should also get Saudi Arabia or UAE, one of them, because they are becoming very friendly to India. Those Arab countries are becoming friendly to India. They've had enough of this Islamic terrorism. They want to modernize. And to modernize, they have to compromise their own mullahs. Yeah. The Saudi royal family now is not interested in supporting the mullahs anymore. In fact, the radicalization of Islam around the world is not being done by Saudi Arabia for the last 2-3 years. It's being done by Qatar, Yemen, and Iran. So for this reason, India should first make some friends and not take on Pakistan alone. And then the vulnerability would be to try to start an all next 5, 10, 20 years, this freedom struggle in Balochistan supported. India has not wanted to because for fear that if we do it, then they'll be justified in supporting Kashmir separatism. But that they're doing in any case. So good behavior of India is not paying off.
Yes. Sir, one quick follow-up question. Pakistan is a nuclear power. And they have demonstrated in 1971 that when they targeted Hindus in East Pakistan, they committed a genocide which killed 3 million people. Do you think they would do that again?
Well, the point is that you can't be afraid of something like that because that is the nuclear blackmail they want.
Yeah.
So it means that the nuclear blackmail is working because you are worrying about it.
Yes.
They should also know that it will be the end of them also. Okay. So if they want to do it, they can do it anyway. If they want to do it, India doesn't need to provoke them. The nuclear option will be like also their own suicide because the consequences will be like that. So if they want to do it, they don't need an excuse. They can just come up with some fake excuse and do it. So I would say they're not likely to do it. They're not likely to do it. India should also not push the temperature too much, but India should start a kind of a certain level of intensity of war within Balochistan and support those people. Get them training in India because there is access to the sea. As Balochistan can go through, can get overseas through Iran, through the Arabian Sea, and also through Afghanistan. So there's 3 different routes for Balochis to get support. Yeah. And India needs to cultivate the anti-Pakistan part of the Taliban. There is an anti-Pakistan part of the Taliban. So India can surround them in a certain way. And this is the only option that India should pursue. Otherwise, just limited war here, there, they hit us and they kill 26, we kill a few here, there. That is just for PR in India to get votes, to tell the Hindus that, oh, we are doing something. But it's not going to make any difference.
So, one quick follow-up question. After this terrorist incident, the liberal media in West, they have omitted.
They're blacked out.
Yeah, the black.
But there's nothing new. I've been arguing this for a long time, and my own people in India think I'm raising an issue which doesn't exist, and I've been blamed for it. I've been attacked for for creating sensationalism. I've been attacked for creating controversy. But this is what I've been talking about for a long time. It's a narrative war in which we are surrounded by the American left on one side and the American Christian right on the other side. Both are just as bad. But now recently, the American left, the woke people, are far worse because they are able to co-opt a large number of Hindus, mainstream Hindus, secularized Hindus. They're able to co-opt those people in India and in the US. And make them fighters against, make them Hindu-phobic also. This is what's happened, and I've been writing book after book, video after video. Only now, when the matter gets very bad, the Indians pay attention to what I'm saying.
So, this is again.
So my story is as a pioneer in discovering a new phenomena, then explaining it to our people, then facing all the pushback and all the attacks that come to me. And then finally, a few leaders, a few pioneers on our side, a few people want to adopt my ideas, and they start supporting me. And then gradually it becomes more and more people. And then some gurus came on board and said, okay, we'll also support you. Previously, they were not. Then some government people like General Bakshi and various other defense people in India started supporting me. Then some public intellectuals, a lot of them on YouTubes, and academic people and scholars started supporting me. Then a youth started supporting me. But this success of in the public, this public success came very recently. But I had first 20 years of fighting all alone. With nobody supporting me.
You were sticking your neck out when you had no institutional support, like.
Or anybody, people would even those who supported me privately said कि publicly हम बात नहीं करेंगे because the price is too high.
That's a problem with us, sir.
Yes.
We are not intellectually, we are not targeting or not defending ourselves. Shatrubodh to bilkul nahi.
And then when I win a battle, then 100 people want to come and claim it कि हाँ हम भी थे, we are all there. This is the cowardice, very cowardly behavior of our people.
Sir, you have written about caste census, how colonial administration had weaponized it. आप Herbert Risley के बारे में लिखे, Nassel Index, how our fluid Jati Varna got solidified into micro-identities. Now our political party recently announced that they are doing caste census.
Government actually.
Yes, sir. BJP central government.
Yes.
And the funny part is, they were the ones who criticized it, and they are implementing.
So you see, this is the lack of think tank in India.
Okay.
There's no serious think tank. India mein RSS doesn't have a think tank, BJP doesn't have a think tank. There are only think tanks for economics and maybe some secular issues like Observer Research Foundation, ORF, a few of them. VIF is a decent one. But deep research on this, reports on this, think tank should not just hold conferences and invite somebody for a book launch. वो तो ठीक है. Think tank should produce serious reports. So the report on the history of caste, current caste system, what are the pros and cons of developing a caste census, this has not been done in India. So a policy should be made based on think tank reports. There should be enough reports to be debated, and then only policy should be developed. I don't know of a single report that has based on which the BJP has made the decision. So these are political decisions made by bureaucrats who advise the ministers and the government, and I don't trust their judgment. I don't think they themselves know too much. The problem of having a caste census is, whatever the output is, it will only create more fighting. There is no output. Can you imagine any output of this which will have no consequence? And the consequence will be only negative. The consequence will be somebody will say we are victims more than we thought earlier, and our problem has been proven, and things of that sort. So I don't know what they hope to gain. Plus, what you are doing is reinforcing that the identity based on caste is the relevant identity. Rather than many other kinds of identities, So we are on the one hand trying to say that caste should not be a source of discrimination. But on the other hand, if people have to quote a census of caste in order to fight their rights and to order to negotiate a higher quota or whatever, and also to fight legal cases based on this, then you are actually using caste to make things worse.
Yes, sir. Sir, one thing I've observed, I've been to India recently, and youth are losing confidence, sir. Especially, I attended X-Space after this was announced, and most of the general category people, they don't see a hope here. So, how this caste census will affect the meritocracy in India?
So meritocracy has gone down in India because of all this. In the United States, the equivalent thing was called woke,
Yeah.
DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, which is identity-based quotas as opposed to meritocracy. But Trump is pushing back against that in a very serious way. I'm very happy he's pushing back. Whether you agree with all his other policies or not, this is the one policy I certainly agree with, and they appreciate me because I have written so much on this woke that they invited me to give talks to the policymakers in Washington. I've been there a few times, and I know a few more who are very interested in my work, not for the Indian implications, but the American implications. So when they saw my book Breaking India, they said you should also write a book called Breaking America, because the same people are also doing it here.
Excellent.
So I think the Americans are pushing back, but in India, this whole DEI has taken a very deep turn for the negative. All these American consulting companies, Arthur Andersen, this Ernst & Young, all these McKinsey, they're all generating DEI policies for Indian corporates. And Indian corporates will then become a place of politics and lose meritocracy. Scientists are being hired and fired and all that, being given promotion based on their identity rather than merit, which happened in the US also, which is why Boeing, the quality problems in Boeing, and the quality problems in many of these companies, they are now investigating and finding that they were DEI policies. They hired substandard people. They hired engineers in Boeing. They hired quality control people who would not have been hired on merit. And so the price being paid is that you are destroying a very big, industrial might of the United States. So US is taking course correction. I haven't seen course correction in India saying all this quota business should be replaced with meritocracy. Now, I have sympathy for the people who have been prejudiced against for many generations. I have.
Yes.
I have that.
Everyone should.
I should. Everyone should. But my solution is different. My solution is that if somebody comes from a family which has multi-generational poverty and there's nobody's been properly educated, then instead of after they pass school giving them a preferential treatment to get into college because they don't have preparation, they don't have prerequisites, they're not going to do well. If they go to IIT without the requisite preparation, they're not going to do well. So better method is start at kindergarten. For people who are underprivileged, give them very special coaching, very special education facilities from kindergarten, special schools for them. For in their location where they are poor people living, start very good schools. So India's basic K through 12 is very poor. So K through 12 is very poor except for a few very private expensive schools. The normal Aam Aadmi K through 12 is not very good. And therefore these people, products of the normal public school, the government schools, suddenly when they finish off their school, they're not qualified to go to an IIT or a good college. How can you using quotas solve the problem at that stage? The problem should be solved at the kindergarten stage, so that by the time the person is past his school, he can get in the entrance exam on merit. That would be true success.
That's excellent.
That means that you will take people from underprivileged backgrounds and educate them to become brilliant on merit, rather than just artificially giving them some quota. So this requires long-term thinking. It requires bigger commitment. It requires hard work. It's not something you can solve right away with some political gimmicks. This is what the government is not doing. There is no government plan right now to dramatically improve K through 12. That is not happening, and so the education standard is so low, so poor, that most people who graduate from these government schools are not very fit to be in a competitive world out there.
So, sir, real quick, I have a quick follow-up question. You've been involved with Trump administration. How was your experience over there, sir?
So the Trump people, they invited me. They gave me this VIP thing for 5-6 days to go to all the events during the inauguration. and there were private meetings with which were by invitation only with the people who were going to be in the cabinet. They had not been confirmed at that time. So I got to know quite a few of them, and this is all off camera discussing with them. I felt that they had diagnosed the American problem very well, which the Democrats had not, and that's why they won. And they're very intelligent people, very smart people. Now the solutions that they've come up with, I'm not too happy with all of them. I think some of them are very good. They need to get rid of DEI. That's a good thing. They need to get rid of this porous immigration border. They need to do that. But I think in terms of economic policy, they could have, it's a long topic we can get into, but I feel that there are better ways to bring the manufacturing onshore, to compete against China. With the better R&D and so on, but to tell you in a nutshell, these tariffs are creating a lot of havoc, and the idea is to make revenue from those who are importing, and two things: one is you make some revenue for the government, which the government needs. And second is you encourage domestic manufacturing. The domestic manufacturing will happen as a result of it, I'm convinced, but it'll take 5 to 10 years. So in the meantime, people are paying a high tariff price because we're used to buying cheap goods from China, and now it's going to be expensive. Okay. Then the idea is to lower taxes in the United States for people who set up factories in the US, corporate taxes. This means that there are two things happening. One is you are going to be paying a tariff if you import, and no tariff if you make domestically. And second is if you make domestically, you will have a very low tax rate compared to making the product somewhere else. So these are two incentives to manufacture in the US. One is low taxes, and the second is avoid the tariffs. I wish that he had reversed the sequence, passed the tax bill first, and then the tariffs. But anyway, that's a technicality we can discuss with economists. But overall, I think Trump brings a jolt in the American ecosystem, which was needed. And whether he's fully successful or half successful or 20% successful, this is a permanent change. People are not going to want to go back to DEI. They are not want to go back to just go on importing from China. So some of the points he's made, whether he implements them successfully, the solutions, whoever comes later on will have to continue similar policies.
Okay. So while we are talking about Trump, I have a follow-up question. So far, Trump and Modi relationship is very good. At least optics-wise, it's looking good. How can India leverage this to its advantage? Because he went full-on war with China, full-on trade war with China. Is there any opportunity for India?
So the trade war in China is not for India's sake.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Modi. It's an American issue. It's not that we should feel happy that therefore, because he has a trade war with China, therefore he loves India.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very practical. China is China.
Yeah.
So now I think India is negotiating a kind of a trade deal with USA because some of the trade tariffs that India was charging was very high, very high, it was reasonable for the Americans to say, why are you charging such high? It's complete nonsense. So India will be one of the first countries, they are saying, that it might even be the first country, but one of the first countries to end up with a trade deal with the US, which will be very good for relations between the two countries. So, but the problem is that Trump is also now playing equal on this Pahalgam attack. He said that Pakistan and India are both friends. They've had a very long-term fight. They should sort it out among themselves. He did not want to support with India. Yeah. He did not. So India needs some strong cards. India needs cards to play other than optics, other than Jula and hugging and all those silly things. So our media gets emotionally carried away. Americans are more pragmatic people. And they know that this is a weak spot of Indians, that you can make them very happy with emotions, give them some hug and tell them a few nice things and some Hindi word you learn. They'll all feel so happy that they'll support you, even if pragmatically you've done nothing. Yeah. So India needs to know how to demand some pragmatic action. So on Pakistan, they should want to bring in Israel. They should want to bring in one of the Arab countries, and then bring in US. I'm not saying they should expect actual military presence of the US, but tacit support, political support, moral support, weapons support, logistics support, intelligence support. These are things the US could do without direct military intervention in its in India's clash with Pakistan. And India has to also make the case stronger for Bangladesh. I mean, we've talked about Pakistan, but we didn't talk about Bangladesh. I think Bangladesh, in the case for India to intervene, is a very strong case, and it's a much weaker country. And that would actually make the point to Pakistan also, to everybody in the neighborhood, that if you mess around, you're going to get it back. It's a shame that India let things happen in Bangladesh. This is the friendliest country we had, the friendliest government we had, and we didn't even know it's about to happen. So what was RAW doing? What was the Intelligence Bureau doing? What was all our diplomat doing in Dhaka? They didn't even know that this is happening. I mean, this didn't happen overnight. This was being planned. And the Clinton Foundation trained this fellow, who's now the Prime Minister, right? So he's their man. So they're grooming him for a while. And India is sleeping. The Indians, there should be an investigation. Why India is sleeping? India didn't even start a UN case against this. India didn't even start that, okay, this is a military coup. They've overthrown a democratically elected government. India didn't even make an international, just a few nominal things, they decried the violence and so on. Very weak response. I was very disappointed. It should have been a very strong response. It still could be, and it will send a message across.
Yes, sir. And even the plight of minorities was overly ignored by Indian government.
Yes. India, this is a perfect case to take it to the whole international human rights, file a case, lawsuits. But no cases have been filed by the Indian government on behalf of the minorities in Pakistan, in Bangladesh.
Yes. Sir, you have written a book on artificial intelligence 4 years ago.
I started that writing about 2017.
Wow.
And wrote many articles and talks and all that, way ahead of people understanding this issue.
Yeah. And one thing, sir, when I read that book, I thought I'll be old by the time this happens, but it's already happening.
Right.
I'm in tech, and they are trying to get AI in the workflow and cut the workforce.
Right.
That's been the target of our leadership.
Right.
So it's affecting.
Right.
And one thing here I want to ask is, AI is being trained in Western narratives.
And we are losing this because there's a whole lot of Hindu phobia in the AI system.
Sir, exactly.
And there's a whole lot of breaking India built in. There's a lot of this Aryan idea and those kind of caste ideas are all built in there. So the problem is that India does not have its own LLM. Okay. And using Western LLM to build products on it is only going to make it worse. We don't have platforms because they take money, they take time, and India does not want to use time and money to do fundamental research the way China does. Okay, China has also started out very poor, but they are rich now compared to India and compared to America also, because they play the long game. And there are certain things that you do with a long life cycle, not a short life cycle. India is always, looking for something quick, because politically you want to get some quick results, and the Indian industrialists are also looking for quick results because they don't want to invest long term. So shame on these Tatas and these Murthys and these Reliance people, Ambanis and all these other people for making billions and billions and billions and showing off that we are the 5th richest or 10th richest or 20th richest or whatever ranking, showing off their wealth and not investing in fundamental R&D in technology to make platforms. Mahindra announced that he's going to build his own LLM, but that's bullshit. It's all nonsense. I've seen what they're doing. It is not fundamental work. It requires a different scale of investment than the Indians are willing to pay. So we are becoming a user of American and Chinese technology. We are not a technology producer, we're a consumer. Like we were in the Industrial Revolution in England, became a consumer. So India could end up as another kind of a loser in this 5th Industrial Revolution.
Sir,
and I've been saying this since 2017. And I've been given all this, oh no, he's sensational, he doesn't know, who is he, what's he talking about, we have such and such famous guy, he's got such and such famous, McKinsey has said everything is fine. They come up with all these celebrities and famous people who have an agenda, who are part of the system. They're using the advice of people like Google and Facebook, and based on that, they're making investments in India. Well, those people have their own agenda. They want India to be a client state. They want India to be a dependent country. And so, you'll have to topple the authority of Niti Aayog. You'll have to topple the ministry in India, the electronics ministry in India. I've met this gentleman who's the minister now. He's a smart guy. He's talking of the right things. But it's too late. I was telling them these things many years ago. They were not interested. In fact, you'll be surprised. When my book on AI came out, Niti Aayog wanted nothing to do with it in terms of launching or even making a comment or endorsement. The ORF wanted nothing to do with it. That's how it is. So they were on the other side. They saw me as somebody who's kind of spoiling the fun, spoiling the equilibrium of narratives. They had subscribed to a certain narrative, and I was disrupting that narrative. They were not happy with me. So now you see the result.
Sir, state has failed to create an LLM based on Indian knowledge systems. Right?
And industry. Industry has failed
Both
also.
have failed.
Yes.
And one thing I've noticed is,
I mean, if the state fails, the industry has people with tremendous amounts of money. Before wasting their money on useless things, they could have put a fund together. If not one company, maybe a few of them together could have put a fund like China did, China was selling cheap labor in factories. But they were taking some of the profit and investing in long-term R&D. They were doing it. Whether it's robotics, whether it's drones, whether it's solar energy, wind energy, whether it's nanotechnology, whether it's quantum computing, whether it's AI, you name it, they're either number one or number two in the world. And they've done it over 10, 15 years. And in none of these really important technologies is India in the top 5 or 6 even.
Yeah. So I have one follow-up question on this one. We Hindus lack a formal institutional support to build an LLM with Indian knowledge systems or whatnot. Outside politics, outside industries, what can a layman like me can do to help the cause?
So, a layman like me made a whole movement out of it. Right? So you can join us. We need good people like you to help amplify the message. Because ultimately what we can do, since we don't have institutions, we don't control institutions, is to spread enough awareness, put enough pressure on these institutions that they have no choice but to pay attention. I have made a lot of changes as a result of my work. For example, the FCRA, this whole, the foreign-funded NGOs, because of the book Breaking India, they made these policies for foreign-funded. We created that. This whole thing about Omidyar was even worse than George Soros. And so the book Snakes in the Ganga has a whole chapter exposing it. And Omidyar shut down his new investments in India. So we have made about 30, 40 major impact, policy impact, on the ground impact as a result of our work. But more is needed. We need more help.
Yes, sir. Sir, you have described in Breaking India 3.0 or Who's Raising Your Children's book that there is a shift from targeting rural and elite youth to influencing even primary school children.
Right.
Is this the final frontier for cultural war?
Well, maybe there will be a 4.0 also. We don't know. But right now, going to Indian schools and training them in this DEI and woke and trans and whatnot, basically it destroys the parental authority. It destroys traditional authority. So this is counter to, so a child raised in this will tell the parents, you don't know what you're talking about, I know better because my generation thinks differently than yours. A defiant generation. And defiant not only against parents but against the whole heritage. This is the final break, or this is one of the very highly dangerous Breaking India forces.
So these days I've been noticing in India that even parents are talking to their children in English.
Yes.
No one is talking in mother tongue. They're training them as a future American citizens and whatnot.
Second-class citizens.
Oh yeah.
the labor class. They're training American Shudras. They're training Indians to become the Shudras of America.
Yeah. And unfortunate thing which I'm noticing over there is not just language has cultural memory in it, and children are not learning the language, and their international schools are mushrooming in India. Cambridge course is correct.
And this is part of the NEP.
Yeah.
And we've criticized this so many times
Yeah.
that NEP has made a huge blunder. Instead of reviving our great, glorious IK. See, on the one hand, we talk about IKS, okay, which I started in 1990s. I started talking about Indian knowledge systems, and I took mind sciences as one area and history of Indian science and technology as another area. And we had 10 conferences on each of these. And we created so much awareness that now this IKS movement has started. If you look at who are the pioneers of IKS today in India, all of them tell me privately it was our influence that got them into this. But the thing is, that has not gone into the curriculum. IKS should not be a separate course. IKS should flow into all the courses. All the way they teach history, the way they teach social sciences, the way they teach political science, the way they teach, the way they teach mathematics, physics. IKS should be in all of that. It's not a separate course by itself. But on the other hand, what has happened is the exact opposite. IKS is being taught as a separate course, and then they're bringing all these Western foreign universities to set up campuses in India and open the floodgates for educating Indians to become like Westerners and lose their own cultural identity. This is a very dangerous thing because within 10 years you'll see a whole generation of young people in India who hate their country.
Yeah. Sir, if we truly have to design a Bharatiya education policy, what would be the core of that policy?
So first of all, I think they have to teach Sanskrit. You can start with young children and teach Sanskrit, and in that I'm not necessarily saying the medium should be Sanskrit. They should also teach English in order to be practical in the rest of the world. They should, but there should be a Sanskrit-based teaching of philosophy. So I would say social sciences and humanities and liberal arts should be taught in the native mother tongue, Sanskrit and mother tongue. Some combination of that, and a lot of education in the English medium also. So this can be done in France. Everything is in the French medium, and they teach English as a second language. In Japan, they have Japanese medium. In Russia, they have Russian medium. In China, they have Mandarin medium. In the Arab countries, they have Arab medium. In Iran, they teach in Persian medium. I mean, it's stupid to say that you cannot make good scientists and good doctors and all that unless you teach them in English. It's such a colonial mindset. Many other countries I just named, they're doing that. They're doing it successfully. The whole Latin American world, they teach in Spanish or Portuguese, and then they teach English also. So multilingual is fine. Nowadays, AI is making multilingual even easier. You don't even have the excuse that we don't have textbooks in all medicine and engineering, because you can get them very quickly if you want to. Yeah. So the question is not just educating in those languages, but then also jobs. Yeah. There's no point in having somebody learn in Hindi medium engineering and then he can't get a job in the corporate world because the interview is going to be conducted in English. So you have to have a vision which goes from end-to-end vision. Our people are thinking in separate, little cocoons here and there. Yeah. And they are in separate tunnel vision here and there. Yeah. That's the problem. There is really no vision like the Chinese have a national vision, which is really practical. And I love reading the Chinese government official vision, which they keep updating every few years. And I read the whole thing because the CIA gives a translation into English. It's available. Okay. I don't think Indians read it. I read it because I'm very impressed by their abilities. I've been reading it for 20 years now. Every time they put out a new policy, I really go through the whole thing.
Yeah. So one thing I have noticed is that Indian policymakers are compromised, and even the diplomats, they're more into sending their children abroad into foreign universities, yes. And all the elites, their kids are American born and whatnot.
Yes. And we are very proud of the fact. Yeah. We are very proud that we got more foreign students than anyone else in this country. We're very proud that we are becoming so Americanized. We have more WhatsApp people than anyone else. But China is very proud that they have their own platform. We are proud that we are using the American platform more than anyone else. Yeah. So we are proud as American consumers, right? And as students of American teachers. When we had Nalanda type places, Nalanda and 20, 30 such universities in what is Bihar and UP now, and also in Takshashila and all that, the whole northern belt of India was filled with centers of learning. Yeah. We were the place where, like Ivy Leagues, people would send their best students to learn and bring back knowledge to their countries. And all of them wrote so much about what they learned. Like today, people would go to a Ivy League and bring it back to India. The revival of IKS requires the revival of these places and the revival of Indian liberal arts, which is not what's happening. Yeah. What's happening is that we are giving lip service to IKS. But then in the meantime, we are bringing in Western knowledge systems. Yeah. We're bringing in Western universalism. I've written a lot about Western universalism in my book, Being Different.
Being different. One of my favorite books. Sir.
Yes.
One of my favorite books. Sir, you have coined the term Hinduphobia when way early, I think in early 2000s. So there's a rising Hinduphobia on American universities.
Yes.
There's a amazing Twitter and Instagram handle called Hindus on Campus. They've been documenting it.
Yes.
And those campuses, because of decrease in state funding, they are so dependent on international students. And our government has no response for it. What our government?
The government has not even organized the students into a voice.
Yeah.
They should have done orientation. I even offered to the Indian Council of Cultural Relations, Sahasra Buddhe runs it, it's part of the Ministry of External Affairs, that I'll conduct training. I'll conduct an annual conference on Hinduphobia in this country because I started this whole movement to fight to expose Hinduphobia, as you know. I've written so many books on it, and before the books I wrote so many articles, papers, blogs, went around, got bad, pushback that because I stuck my neck out on Hinduphobia against very powerful people. Now, I've offered that I will I will have an orientation class for Indian students coming to this country every year. And I don't even want money for it. I just want that they should organize it for me. Yeah. Okay. And I'll come and I'll come and teach them on this is what will happen on campus. These are the things you will notice. Here's how to answer these questions. These are 10 FAQs, what you should know, what people will ask you, what people will accuse you of, how to answer back. I'll conduct this training. No response from there.
Oh my gosh, unfortunate. Really unfortunate. Yeah. Do you think Indian government should, have an index or something like that about American universities?
Yeah, of course. And I've even proposed that. I proposed a Dharma index.
Okay.
In fact, I'm developing a Dharma index. I don't talk much about it, but I'm developing a Dharma index where the index of an author, of a politician, of a university, of a newspaper, media, will be measured very quickly and in real time kept updated.
So, switching gears, you have warned against breaking India forces for years. What's their most dangerous avatar today?
So, the most dangerous avatar is the person who disguises himself as an Indian, who's actually an Indian, maybe with a Hindu name, but he's a breaking India force. Yeah. Like there used to be sepoys. I call them sepoys. Yeah. I've used the term intellectual sepoys. Yeah. The intellectual sepoys and the new zamindars. See, zamindars are these big industrial houses. They are the zamindars keeping this, on the one hand, they're creating jobs, which is good. But even the zamindars in the British era were creating jobs. But they were keeping the British ideology and their system alive. Okay, so today the Western establishment is present in India in the form of Indian industrialists who are the new zamindars, and the intellectual sepoys who are the scholars, the media people, the journalists. They are the most dangerous people. It is no longer white people. I defeated the white people in the 90s of having big fights with them on Hinduphobia. They all withdraw. You don't find them going around India making noise. Maybe one or two here and there, junior people. But they then took this fight and transferred their knowledge to the Indian left and the Hindu-speaking, Hindu-named people. Yeah. And now we're fighting those people. Yeah. That's the avatar which is most dangerous.
Yeah. They call Hindus in name. The internet is calling them. So one more question, sir. I'm switching gears to some geopolitical questions. How should India engage with West and China differently?
So India should play its cards in the sense of tell China, look, once the price for all-out collaboration with you is that you have to settle the border dispute, recognize our view of Jammu and Kashmir. We don't mind you having a passage through it with POK. We can also work out the same deal. We can really get involved in helping you be successful, and we'll also be a partner in that. I think China should be told you got to make a choice. If you're not, we can't have it both ways. You can't have it that on the one hand you want all these good things with India, they do, and on the other hand you also have a border problem that you're not wanting to settle. China does not want to settle the border problem. They want that danda on India's head. They want a gun on India's head, and they want to create this Pakistan and Bangladesh and even Nepal and maybe Bhutan one day as surrounding India. So that is a very dangerous thing. America is not going to send troops to save India. If China were to attack tomorrow, they they can really cause a lot of harm and take a lot of territory. And no country is going to send its troops. They will put some UN resolution, but who cares about it? They'll do some weak things, but nobody cares about it. Okay, so India is on its own. So India has to have very good weaponry, not dependent on foreign weaponry. India's, I'll tell you, you cannot be called a superpower if your sovereignty, to defend your sovereignty, depends on help of someone else.
Yeah.
The test of a superpower is being able to defend itself without help. So there are only two superpowers. There is United States and China, maybe Russia. These three, because they can defend themselves even if nobody else helps them. Right? They can defend. But all other countries, Japan also, India, the Middle East countries, each European country, they're all dependent on somebody else to protect them. You can't be a superpower like that. You're a client state, a dependent state. India has to understand we are dependent right now on our survival and on our sovereignty. Indians are too proud and too emotional to understand all this.
Sir, we have a very good native military industrial complex, which is upcoming, but they're not getting any orders. Like SS Defense makes beautiful guns which are made for our Indian stock, designed for our people. But are we still buying foreign weaponry?
So that's a policy issue. That is a very see in the United States, DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA. DARPA is sort of like DRDO. And DARPA has introduced all these new innovations. The DARPA brought in semiconductors, the transistor, the semiconductor they started. They started this fiber optics. They were the ones who invented the internet. They are the ones who are leading in quantum computing now from the US side. They are the ones who brought in a lot of AI technology, a whole lot of improvements in the United States, technological breakthroughs, satellites, all of that is because of DARPA. So DARPA first does it for defense, it's classified, and then after a while they give American industry the advantage, because American industry there's the whole weapons industry, the whole defense industry, defense manufacturing industry, the Lockheed, all these kind of people. DARPA works with them, and they are private sector, so they make a ton of money, and then that goes into the general economy. So India hasn't done that. India has just not been able to have a DRDO, which would be of the same scale as DARPA, and then be able to work with the Indian industrialists to bring this out into the economy. So India is the defense industry, the defense R&D industry is not as strong, and the policies of the government to buy foreign rather than buying from them makes it even worse.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Sir, regarding your book, Who's Raising Your Children, I have one question. For our audience, what should Indian parents do, or especially Hindu parents do?
What they should do is they should read the text being written.
If they are not qualified enough, they should go to a guru and get information and advice and say, okay, how do you evaluate this in the context of our own tradition?
Yeah.
And then they should have the courage to go to the school.
Yeah.
They should have, and the school will say, who are you? We'll kick you out. We'll kick your son out or daughter out because you're not supposed to interfere. Then they should get 5 other parents, 10 other parents, go to collectively and make some noise and say that this is what's being taught, it is incorrect. They should file some PILs where they feel that their rights are being denied. So, there has to be some shake-up. They can't just be saying, okay, my kid, I'm not concerned because he'll get, this school will put him into a good college, and the good college will get a good degree, he'll get a good job, and that's all I care about. Because then that's exactly what's happening. You're training your people just for a materialistic life. And that too is a second-grade nation in the world. And you're not teaching them to be proud of their heritage. No civilization, no country has been successful without pride in its heritage.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how much American pride they put in them. Look at how much French do, how much Russians they do, Chinese do, Japanese do, Arabs do. We don't do that.
Yes, sir. And that's what I'm noticing here as well. The kids who are being raised, first generation children, they are totally disconnected from their roots and heritage. And our parents...
The parents are responsible,
Yeah.
because their priorities are very different.
Yeah. So, sir, one thing I've noticed is Muslims are very organized. Even in school boards, they have strong influence, but we are failing.
Right.
Our Indian parents are failing. They're not even bothered what they are teaching in schools. How can we correct
Because
this?
we are going into individual success,
Ah,
not collective success.
Yeah.
and individual success, and then a person becomes rich, then all the people become his cronies and chamchas, and they say, oh, this guy is very rich, he has all this money, and he's giving donations to this or that political party, and he's seen with famous people. So we think that that's the path to success. Whereas in the Islam, among the Muslims, the path to success is you help your tradition, your local mosque, you make it successful, and you teach values, you teach how to talk back as a Muslim, how to argue. So Muslims are investing in youth leadership, training young people to stand up and talk, face a whole group, know how to fight a lawsuit against them, know how to collaborate with each other and put pressure on, if there's any Islamophobia, they put pressure. But if there's Hinduphobia, our people don't fight.
Sir, let's switch gear and talk something about what's next for Infinity Foundation. What are the projects you're...
So we just finished our 30th anniversary,
Yes, sir.
and we had a huge success, massive success. We're going to put out some very big videos on that.
Okay.
A lot of love and blessings and so on. So I'm turning 75 this year. So I'm going to not want to be involved in a day-to-day administrative sense, but I have 20 more books to finish, and each one of them is a result of a lot of meditation, a lot of R&D. They are like 99% done. I have to put all the writing together, and I have a very high standard of making sure things are okay before I put it out. So I'm going to put out 2-3 a year, and I want to put out as many as I can. That's one thing I want to do personally. Second thing, I want to continue getting these translated into Indian languages, and also audiobooks, and also videos for training purposes. And then I want to train young people, whether they are filmmakers, brilliant people like you guys, whether they are authors, whether they are public speakers. I want to train them to take my knowledge. And I'm developing what I'm calling a school of thought. This is my school of thought, which is going to put together all the knowledge I produced in a way that's like Marxism is a school of thought. It's a school of thought. Like woke is a school of thought. So I'm going to, like Adi Shankara is a school of thought, but long back. I'm creating the modern version of what they must have been teaching in Nalanda. Is a modern school of thought for today based on our Sanatana Dharma.
Sir, what are your thoughts of integral humanism?
So integral humanism, I'm not sure, well, it is a good thing. Yeah. It's a good thing. I know the whole Deen Dayal Upadhyaya story and all. But I think it was not deeply, he didn't connect it from the Vedic heritage. Okay. He used words from there. He said every civilization has its own chitti, and we have ours. So ours is the Hindu, idea. But he didn't show what about it. He didn't connect it with Ritam, with Yagna. He didn't connect it with the karma. He didn't connect it with the reincarnation. He didn't connect even the idea of Rashtra. Okay. In the entire RSS, what I've read, what they've asked me to read, RSS and the Hindu revival from the political side, the concept of Rashtra has not been traced back to Vedas and taken from there. Oh. I'm writing a book on Rashtra. It's one of my 20 books.
Sir, you've been sticking out your neck, and you've been talking things which were not so popular
and not considered polite to talk about.
Yeah.
And you lose friends.
Yeah.
I come from a very westernized elite background. My father's family were very well-to-do, well-established. My mother's family very humble, very Hindu. So I had both backgrounds. I lost family and friends. I not only gave up my business, which was making tons of money, I gave it up voluntarily in order to do this. Yeah. So I lost income to do something bigger. I lost friends. I lost reputation. Yes. Had I just stuck with that, I would have been a billionaire, multi-billionaire, because in the 90s, I was making a lot of money compared to the rich industrialists today. Most of them were nowhere near the scene, nowhere close. And even some of these tech companies, if I just continued building my tech company further, I would have been one of the big tech companies. So I gave up all that and put my neck on the line. Because I had this inner experience, it comes from an inner spiritual experience. You can't do it otherwise. Because I'm not doing it because there's anything in it for me. I don't care. There's no reward, award, accolade, none of that. It doesn't matter. I'm doing because I experienced certain states of consciousness where I wanted to go and investigate them further for myself. And then I started writing about it.
Do you meditate, sir?
Every day. I get up between 4 and 5. And I spend an hour or two. Yeah. But there is a meditation called meditation on the mat. You sit on the mat and meditate. But there is also meditation off the mat, which means right now you're meditating, right now. Yeah. Right now while talking.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. So when you are living, it's on the one hand you want to be very alert with the outside, what's going on, and observe what's happening here, there, and make a move and respond and react. Whether it's financial, whether it's legal, whether it's a public relations issue, whether it's a fight, whether it's whatever it is. In other words, in your social, political, cultural life, you want to be very alert and pragmatic. You don't want to run away into a cave and say, I don't worry about these things because I'm doing meditation. So, but in the midst of this Kurukshetra battle, that is Krishna saying, in the midst of all this, you also have to know who you are, where you are coming, what is your true nature, what is your ultimate reality. Knowing your ultimate reality, having experienced a higher state of consciousness, you then want to express it in your worldly actions. That is the Dharma Kshetra and the Karma Kshetra. So that is very difficult very different than going to some meditation class and learning how to do meditation, because what they teach you is meditation withdrawal. Okay, that's the first stage. Withdrawal for meditation. But then re-engaging from that meditative state, re-engaging back in society is far more difficult. And that's what I'm practicing.
Sir, you reminded me of Swami Vivekananda. He said, if you're not meditating, you're missing out. Thank you for inspiring at least me to start meditating.
No, I'm so happy to have met you. Mohan, you are a good guy. I follow this man. He's come all the way 3 hours from another state only to do this. Stayed last night in a hotel, and I'm so happy he and his friend Shiva came. I want you to stay in touch with me.
Yes, sir.
And we should do things together on a regular basis.
Yes, sir.
Professionally also. I mean, I really want to get you to help you, and you are helping me already.
Yeah.
So let's continue this.
Yes, sir. Please do follow
do
podcast.
and do follow this channel.
Yes, sir.
This is a good channel. I'm asking all the people there, please follow them, support them, because they're doing good work.
So before we pack up, I have a rapid fire question. Quick question.
Yeah.
So what's day in life of Rajiv Malhotra?
What's a day in the life of Rajiv Malhotra?
Yeah. How is your day?
So the only thing constant is I try to have a meditative state regardless of what comes my way. So what comes my way is different every day. Today I have some relatives who came from India, there are things going on. Yesterday was something else. Last week we were running around with this 1,500 people in a big event we were organizing. So the external life, the Vyavharika life, it changes moment to moment. But the state of Paramarthika that you have to be in, you have to understand things from a Paramarthika projected onto the Vyavharika. So that makes a day in my life different every day.
Okay, beautiful. One ideology more dangerous than Marxism?
The most dangerous ideology for us is the insider who is actually an outsider. The insider outsider. Okay. The outsider as insider. Yeah. And the insider who's bought into the outsider and he's playing this role. They are the sepoys. They are the sepoys of today.
Okay. If you had 30 minutes with Modi ji, what would you say?
I've had many 30 minutes with Modi ji.
Okay.
Many times. And I've said many things. But I'm sorry they have not been implemented. A few, some of them turn into slogans. Some of them turn into, maybe political and things have happened. I should take that back. Things have happened that I've left there as my message, but very slowly. Things have happened. It takes a long time. Like the FCRA, this going after these foreign-funded NGOs. I give them credit. They took my ideas and did that. Many things of that sort they have done. I think the biggest impact has been that a whole lot of youth have started following my ideas, and that puts pressure on Modi ji's government. RSS become very big friend of mine. Mm-hmm. They weren't like that 20, 30 years ago. We were not on talking terms with each other.
I'm glad they're learning.
They're learning, and we are very good friends. I really respect them now. I defend them because they're good people. But we are on the same wavelength finally after 3 decades. I also feel that a lot of the youth people, a lot of young people, but the most important success I've had is with the Hindu gurus. Okay. So I wish my success with the Modi government were on the same level as my success with the Hindu gurus. Okay. So if I were to tell Modi ji one more thing, one more time, which I've said before, is that there needs to be a ministry of civilization.
Okay.
This culture ministry is into all useless culture. The idea of culture is very superficial. Education ministry is also a part of this. Foreign affairs ministry is part of this. This is a combination of ICCR, which is external affairs, culture ministry, a lot of things happening. Deep scientific research based on our civilization, the whole IKS, the education ministry. Large parts of these are keepers of our civilization. But there's nobody who's really been put in charge to focus on that. I wish that for the last dozen years, Modi ji had somebody like that to focus and given you even a little bit of resource. You don't even need that much resource. You need vision and you need the gravitas and the traction to pull together a whole lot of things. Such a person could go bring a lot of energy from various other people like you and various lot of people, stakeholders would join if it was clear that he's got the support of the government. And the government adhikar through him, that hey, he's got some clout, is all they need, not even a budget.
So, who's the most misunderstood historical figure today?
I would say Mohandas Gandhi is overrated. So therefore he's misunderstood. Misunderstanding doesn't have to be that somebody understood somebody less than his worth. It could also be more than his worth. Now he was very brilliant in some ways. He was brilliant in the way he dissected the colonial system. But he compromised on Islam. He compromised on Islam, but did not compromise as much on Christianity. He was quite strong, didn't want them to convert and so on, because he saw it as part of the colonial enterprise. However, on Islam, that was his soft spot. So I think he's quite misunderstood. When you call somebody a deity, when you deify somebody as father of the nation and so on, then you make him above criticism, and that's very bad. You have to leave him as a human being. The fact that he did a lot of good things is also undeniable. But the fact that he made a lot of blunders is undeniable. So you have to give him a fair shot both ways. We are all human. We all make mistakes. But Gandhi is overrated.
Okay. What's one sacred Hindu concept that West misunderstands?
So this whole idea of, what they call idolatry. Okay, the idea that the sacredness is everywhere. The mountain is sacred. The river is sacred. We can have sacred images. We have hotspots. The one has innumerable hotspots for access. Like the same internet and the same website you can access through many hotspots. It's not that they are separate. Okay, they're separate access methods. So these access methods include gurus, they include deities, they include sacred mountains, sacred geography. They include so many sacred things, mantras. So the range of devices and access points for accessing the one is innumerable. And that that is how the pre-Christian, pre-biblical pagan people were. They were more like Vedic. So that was destroyed in order to replace them with Judeo-Christianity and then Islam. So this is, I think, the most misunderstood point that the Western world and the Islamic world don't get, because their whole power structure would collapse if they got it.
Sir, I think every Indian should read Being Different, sir. You spoke about this concept at length. That changed my worldview as well. One last question, sir. Can we expect our next podcast with Ask Rajiv?
Yes, you can do that.
So what's going on with that?
So Ask Rajiv is based on a generative AI. Response to a chat box, you might say, that has been trained on 3 of my books, and they want to train it on all 20 of them. And so the idea is that it'll answer questions the way I answer questions. Now the problem we're having is hallucination, which means that it also picked up knowledge from somewhere else. That's and the reason is that we do not have our own LLM. We are using some other's LLM, and that other LLM, whichever one we use, already trained on certain ideas. So it's like you take a kid who's already gone through a madrasa. So he's already got that brainwashing. And now you train him on your ideology. But he'll still have some of that. That thing will creep in. That's called hallucination in the AI. AI hallucination means you are training the thing to think like Mohan. And you've told him, this is how I think. You think like that. It will think like that most of the time. But once in a while, it's prior training, which whatever it learned from somewhere else, it comes in. That's called hallucination. So getting rid of hallucination is a very serious problem. Other than that, we are doing well. I want to use this for education. So I want to create a resource where parents, families, kids can go and ask Rajiv
long after I'm gone, also gone from this world, and be able to get a good answer.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. We're looking forward for it, sir. Infinity Foundation. Let's talk a little bit about Infinity Foundation. Sir, what can people do to help you out in Infinity Foundation?
So, I mean, I put in all my tan, man, dhan into that. But we could scale our number of people we are mentoring into much larger if we had more resources, if we had more funds. So if a person wants to devote part-time, it's more difficult. We can give them a little bit of work here and there. Videos is great because videos you don't need necessarily a full-time. A person can say, okay, I'll make 2 videos a month for you, 3 videos, whatever it is. And that will be very helpful. We can even pay for that. There's no doubt. We really need some good video production and video camera people. So anyone who's interested in this area should contact me. But as far as scholarship is concerned, we really want to train people who are going to become full-time scholars. Now, a person who's very old and retired and says, okay, I don't need income, I'll help you. The point is too late to teach them. They're very slow, dull, not against old people. I'm an old guy myself. But the point is we need youth. We need youth. But youth need to make money. I mean, you can't blame them for it. I always tell that first become financially independent. So it's very rare that you come across a person who's in a state where their mind is very young, very alert, and they don't need money, and they're saying, okay, now I'm available. Such people are rare, and they should help us. They should help us because it'll be good for them also. And the people who are available part-time can help us in many ways if they are good, reliable people, as volunteers. We have events, we have translation projects, we have online work going on, so they can help us in many different ways.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wisdom. It was an honor to have you at Bharat Varta podcast. We are looking forward for more such engagements.
You will have more
your wisdom, sir.
You will have more engagements from me, and wish your founder and your president, your whole organization all the best, the people who sent you here. And I'm very impressed by you because you're a sincere person. This is your Swadharma. You're doing it for your Swadharma. And there is no better action you can take than helping protect and propagate and defend your Dharma. And this is what you're doing. So all the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
And namaste to you. And namaste to everybody.